All right, here we are. We have arrived at Summit 4 in Fremont.
Yeah!
Oh, my goodness. Lots of thank yous to send out really, really quick. First of all, to each of you for being here today. That means a lot. It means a lot.
Yeah!
All right, and those of you who still want to join, we got room 39150 Fremont Boulevard in Fremont at the flagship branch of Fremont Bank, our wonderful host today for the Warriors Summit, our 4th summit. And let me go ahead and bring in the rest of our brethren here at 95.7 The Game, starting with the morning roast, Bonta and Joe.
Yeah!
Oh, baby. So we're at a bank right now. That means we're all leaving with Christmas gifts, right? When I say Christmas gifts, I mean double bags of money, right? We're in the bank. Fremont, what's up? Tip us out here. Gas is expensive. You know what I'm saying?
We got an early rat on the table. Where's my partner?
I would love to welcome Steiny and Goo, but I'll just welcome Goo.
Hey.
I shook Steiny's hand and then he left. I don't know where he went. Where that? Does anyone see Steiny out there? Oh, he's in the bathroom?
Okay,
He's in the bathroom.
Oh, he's getting Hades late. Oh,
that's
boy.
a great way to start.
Yeah.
Well, Guru, hello.
Hey, I missed you,
Guru.
buddy. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. All right. We've got a lot to get to with the Golden State Warriors. Roast, why don't we start with you guys? Some opening statements on the state of the team. What do you think?
Go ahead, Shasky.
I mean, like where they're at right now?
Yeah, just how you feel about where it's at.
July 8th. How you feeling? I mean, if we look at the aggregate, I was listening to you guys talk about this already, and I'm sitting here, I'm shaking my head. I'm like, I know they're not sexy names. They don't have a number 2, quote unquote. But look around the league. They've actually added more field goal made this year. They've added more rebounds. They've added more assists when you look at the players they've brought in. Now, it depends on the growth of some of the young players as well. The loss of Klay Thompson is a huge one, and more emotionally than it is on the court. And then Chris Paul, there's obviously a baked-in element of how great he was with that second unit. But I'm looking at this team and I'm saying to myself, I think there's going to be some freedom where you don't feel the baggage of having to play certain guys in certain roles because there's been a hierarchy that is well earned over the years. I think that makes it very difficult for a coach. And when Father Time is staring you in the face, it's tough to have those difficult conversations. As we found out in the last 3 weeks, it was difficult to have those conversations and to pivot and then to empower some of the other players on the team. So I kind of like where the Warriors are at, honestly. I think everybody's selling them short right now.
You comfortable if they started the season with this roster?
Comfortable what? To, like,
comfortable.
Be in the same spot they were last year?
You can choose where your comfort level is.
To think that they are going to start the year off as a top 4 team, I mean, that's chasing ghosts. That's not going to happen. That's not where they're at. They have a 36, 37-year-old Steph Curry. Are they in the mix for the 7, 8, 9, 10 spot? Hell yeah.
Bonta, what do you think?
Financially, they're in a great spot. They have financial flexibility. A lot of tradable contracts, a lot of team-friendly contracts, but with the roster. Last year, the Warriors won 46 games with Draymond Green. We all know missed 27 games. And there's a plethora of injuries. Chris Paul, GP2, Gary Payton II. Looney was out of the rotation. You're dependent on guys like Pods and TJD and, of course, Jonathan Kuminga, where we saw there may be a player there, a $200 million player, something we'll get to a little bit later. But it's a current roster, and I heard Mark Willard talking defense on the way down. I'm like, boy, defense. Boy, that helped out Minnesota, right? In the Western Conference Finals. That helped out Dallas at times, who was playing some great defense all the way to the NBA Finals. This league is all about getting buckets. And right now, they don't have enough bucket getters, which is why they're trying to go all in on Lowry marketing. So right now, I love the financial flexibility and the ability to move pieces in the future while getting out the first and second apron and getting out the tax. Because Lord knows Joe Lacob doesn't want to pay the repeater tax for a team that fell in the 10th place in the Western Conference. But the current roster, I have to see it. You're going to sell me on Buddy Hield replacing Klay Thompson's production and slow-mo Kyle Anderson replacing some of the production and DeAnthony Melton, who I like. I like Melton a lot, but is he going to stay healthy? So the current roster, I don't know if they're better than last season, but financially, they're in a better spot.
I'm glad that you called Kyle Anderson slow-mo. We can now transfer that nickname to Steiny. Steiny, everybody. Welcome.
Wow, that's a 4.
That's up. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of over the hill, hierarchy laden.
Do you have a question, or am I just going to...
State of the Warriors, what do you think? for anybody that didn't hear 10-2.
Look, their best player's 36 years old. They got to figure out a way to transition, and the decision's going to be how much you transition with him as a Warrior or how much you think about the transition when he's not a Warrior anymore. But they are in a tough spot. Like, when I look at Mike Dunleavy and the job he took and when he took it, I mean, it's not going to be easy for them to navigate this. And that's what I think we all got to understand is they're doing the best they can, but they're starting from a spot that's disadvantageous because of where they are. It's the price of a dynasty.
Guru?
Well, I'm a lover, not a fighter. If you listen to 10-2, you know that. And I come to you all with a heavy heart. And the reason I have a heavy heart is I'm hurt that Klay Thompson is no longer a Warrior. I get it. But where I'm at and fixated on is the nuggets that are coming out of what it's like you think your parents have the best marriage. And then you get older and find out all kind of stuff was going on. And I'm hurt because the Warriors had a culture I thought was second to none. And when you find out, stewards of the game like Klay and Dre, they're champs. We're worried about their comrades getting paid after they won a championship. I feel a bit like I was lied to, so I'll start there. That's why my heart is hurt, because I'm like, that don't happen in Warrior world. But you know what, Willard? It did. And about this current roster, I'm about Operation Steph Curry. I don't care about the birth certificate. He is the last of our problems. Get him help by Malcolm X, any means necessary. And if that's marketing, Paul George, who you struck out on, I get it. Get him some help.
Okay.
I don't want to hear about Melton and slow-mo. Those guys are okay. But we need a star, somebody that can ease the job for Steph Curry.
If only it was that easy. If only it was that easy.
There you go. Well, that's the only problem.
No, just go get a star. That's easy. Just go get one.
Well, let's ease into this. You bring up Klay Thompson, so let's go there. And why don't you go first? And the question is just, how will you remember Klay Thompson as a Warrior?
Just being himself and letting us inside of his world and never trying to be a fake or a phony, just being a guy that was a straight pro, one of the best shooters to ever do it, and he let us in his world during some of the darkest times of his NBA career. That I appreciate. Sometimes I was like, I don't know Klay, but that's who Klay is, and I love The Sopranos. I love Goodfellas. I love a great ending, and if you're going to tell me the Warriors are not making the playoffs or times are going to be a little light, damn it, I want to see all three of them ride off on the white horse together. That's gone. But, Klay, thank you, and be careful what you wish for. Oh, I am Mr. Learn that lesson in my life. You don't know what you have until it's gone. So, Buddy Hield, I'm not mad. I'm a root for you. But I'm telling you, 39% from three, 18 a game. We are just dismissing that like it's nothing with all this mental stuff he had to deal with. Be careful what you wish for. We're going to miss Klay, I believe.
When you say be careful what you wish for, are you talking to the Warriors or to Klay?
To the fans.
I'm talking to the fans.
Who are they're so dismissive.
I think you misrepresenting the fans.
I'm hearing a lot of stuff. I don't like it in the streets.
I think that's a loud minority.
Okay.
I think that's an echo chamber. Honestly, like look at you in the room right now. Who?
Give Klay a round of applause.
These people love Klay. They love Klay. They love it. What do you think, Steiny? How do you remember Klay Thompson?
I think Klay Thompson's one of the coolest guys who's ever come down the pipe. I think that we got to know him over the last 13 years. And I don't think of just Klay. I think of the big three. And they're all so different. But all Warrior fans gravitated to one of the three. Not that they didn't like the other two, but I have two daughters. My youngest is like feisty. She loves Draymond. My middle one's mellow. She loved Klay Thompson. So that was what made the big three to me so special, is they were all different players and different personalities, all great guys at the end of the day, all Hall of Famers at the end of the day. But all good things must come to an end.
It's so much prophecy,
Thank you.
Steiny. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Really welcome.
Thank you very much. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the big three is like your children. Guru's got 3. Steiny's got 3. Mark's got 3. I got 3. You guys will get there. Both of you.
Warm moons over there. Real simple warm moon.
It's fitting. We got 3 kids and a bunch of problems.
That's great.
Well, much like with your 3 kids, you always say that you don't love one more than the other 2, which is the biggest lie, by the way.
Oh, boy.
You know, of your three, whatever, we all, much like Steph, Clay, and Draymond, you love one more than the other. And for me, you said it perfectly, Steiny and Goo, about Clay in the soft spot. He always felt like somebody that you knew. And we would bump into him in Oakland at the Montclair golf course and other spots. And Clay was just a regular guy, as much as he's out there, one of the greatest shooters of all time. So you ask what I'll remember about Clay.
Yeah.
Of course, the knockdown shooter, the 37-point quarter, the 3-point record, all the rest of it. But Clay's just an average, ordinary guy that you felt like you knew better than you actually did.
I mean, that's interesting. I think of him as actually a very unique guy. I don't know about average. I get what you mean by
just
that.
a regular guy.
Yeah, he was accessible in a way, but he also was kind of aloof and just different. And I thought that he fit in with the Bay Area vibe perfectly. So all of us will remember all the great moments and whatnot, but the way Clay sort of conducted himself and the boat and the dog and all of the things that we kind of got to know, I thought fit the Bay Area vibe perfectly. And this is a little bit more of an in-the-moment thought, but I also think Clay's departure, he became a victim of his own sensitivity. I do think that Clay experienced a lot of things that a lot of players experience, and he takes things, I actually know this about him, he takes things to heart more than the average person, and that at least played a factor into the way that this whole thing ended. What do you guys think?
Well, I think to answer the first question about what we were going to remember about Clay, because, that's our guy. We didn't have a lot of playoff memories growing up, Shasky and I, in the city rooting on the Golden State Warriors. And I think that's what made him endearing, is that sensitivity. In a league full of egos and millionaires and guys with Maseratis going to the club popping bottles, Clay was the everyday guy. He'll be wandering into Dolores Park on a random Saturday with the White Claw saying, "What's up? Let's play chess." Or out in Oakland, California, just chilling. Or leaving his keys inside his locker saying, "I can't drive home. Can somebody give me a ride?" after dropping 54 points in the game. That's who Clay was. He embraced us on this boat, our community. So I'm going to remember him for that and all the big moments where you at least expected it. How many of us thought they were going to go to Oklahoma City and win Game 6 in 2016? Well, Clay happened. What happened at Oracle Arena when Goo and I did the pregame show, and next thing you know, they're down 22, and we're thinking, boy, this may be over with Kevin Durant, and Clay happened. And we all remember 2022, Memphis Game 6, Dallas Game 5. So I'm going to remember him as an all-time Warrior, but one of the most genuine people that we've ever seen come across the NBA circles, and he'll eat for free in the Bay Area forever. That's for damn sure.
Your point about the ending for Klay Thompson, I just am surprised that they drew a hard line at Klay Thompson and allowed Draymond Green to just kind of get away with everything. And that, to me, if you would have asked any Warrior fan 3, 4, 5 years ago, make the bet. Who's going to last longer, Klay or Draymond Green? We're all betting on Klay to last longer with the Warriors than Draymond. I mean, I say to Bonta all the time, the moment it's done with the Warriors and Draymond, it's going to get ugly.
Yeah.
Well, that literally happened with Klay and the Warriors, and it was shocking.
Don't you think that had a little bit to do with timing, though? Like, I think that gets left out of the conversation as if Draymond and Klay were sitting next to each other as free agents at the same time. Draymond got re-signed when the team was still at least playing around in a competitive space. Game 6, second round.
He got 4 years and $100 million.
I get that.
After ruining 2 seasons ago. And I heard Steiny. Steiny said something. Yeah, no, Steiny said something earlier today on the show.
He got thrown out of the game in the playoffs.
They got 4 years and $100 million in player options.
That's not my point. That's not my point.
That was that offseason.
If Klay Thompson were a free agent that year, he would have stayed too.
He punched a teammate, and then a year later, after they just dismantled everything,
point is,
he got re-signed.
Do you think Draymond gets re-signed if he's a free agent coming off?
Draymond can clearly get away with whatever he wants to do and get re-signed, and that's the part I don't understand.
I'll finish my question this time. Do you think Draymond gets a 4-year deal if he's a free agent when the Warriors are coming off a non-playoff season? I don't. I don't.
I don't know. You're splitting hairs on this one. I don't know.
Timing is huge.
If we're talking about timing,
is huge.
Everybody needs to get ready for Steph will leave before Draymond Green. Draymond's going to be the last man standing.
He might.
Steiny, always known for the bombshells of these summits. I love it. Drop
By the way,
bombs.
you know what's interesting? Well, know what's interesting? Steiny brought up something. He goes, earlier today, I was listening on the way home, and he talked about Klay Thompson, whether or not he knew this was his last season earlier in the season, looking around. And what I keep hearing from, whether it's the Warriors or Stephen Curry or Draymond Green or from people in the know, they say, boy, Klay was really miserable the last 2 years. Then I think about the last 2 seasons. Okay, that came after a championship in which they were popping bottles in Boston in Game 6. Then what happened in training camp? The Draymond Jordan Poole incident happened. What the hell happened between the championship and training camp, which disrupted everything, which all started last year in October with Draymond Green and Jordan Poole? Yeah, sure, it had to do with the long-term contracts that maybe Wiggins and Jordan Poole got, and the big boys said, well, we bit this house. We want our money too. Well, Draymond got his money, and Klay comes back and gets a 2-year offer. We just heard Paul George today say he felt disrespected by a 2-year offer. That's what it was all about. So the timing with Draymond Green, how's the timing good for Draymond Green when he literally admitted to basically, I ruined this season, which saw us lose to the Lakers in 6, and he gets $100 million in the player option. And we're telling Klay to be happy and take the 2 for 4.
I'm simply telling you that the Warriors at that time thought they were still a contender. And this year, Joe Lacob
contending team trades away a 23-year-old for the corpse of Chris Paul when everybody knows he's going to get bought out.
You're leaving context out of that.
The same week he got extended.
A 23-year-old who they knew on the inside was causing all kinds of problems.
Because
What problems was Jordan Poole? What problems was Jordan Poole causing?
This is Warriors.
What problems was Jordan Poole causing that Draymond hasn't caused?
Come on, man.
Come on, Mark.
Warriors Summit 4.
You don't believe that.
This is Warriors.
You don't believe that.
This is Warriors Summit 4, Fremont Bank in Fremont. All 6 of us together for 2 hours.
Hey!
We appreciate everybody being here. We're at 39150 Fremont Boulevard in Fremont. And one of the things we like to do with these is involve everybody in the building. So, by a show of noise, here's a question we wanted to ask you. And it is this: was Klay done wrong? So, this is a yes or no. Was Klay done wrong? How many of you say yes? All right. Was Klay done wrong? How many of you say no?
No. Oh, that's faint.
Wow.
That's quiet.
Wow. Marge, way to go. Stand up. Stand up, Dublin Marge. All right.
Wow, Willard.
Is that Dublin March? Where's Dublin March?
Right here.
Yeah.
What's going on?
DB.
That's a pretty decisive sound right there.
And if Klay was sitting right next to me, I would just ask Klay, the year that you came back that culminated in a championship, now that he's let us in his world, and you call me a doctor, I'm no clinical doctor, but you're sitting there, you can't play the first part of the season, and nobody can tell me that Jordan Poole didn't take off. He took off like a rocket. Shout out Houston. And you can't tell me Klay was sitting there not thinking about his own, just his own game and his future. Do we have our replacement in Jordan Poole? So to find out later after they win the chip, it's not let's go to Mexico, let's go celebrate as a unit. It's he got paid. It's Andrew Wiggins got played. So as much as I'm disappointed that Klay left, that's where it started, because you let that stuff fester about Steiny's pockets, about Willard's pockets, when you should have been focused on your game. So that's what hurts me about this whole, and I keep going to it, culture thing of the disease of me that was taught to me by my partner, Mr. Matthew J. Steinmetz.
So who's
Matthew M. Steinmetz?
Well, damn it.
Matthew Michael.
Play it up the age, Guru.
That's my boy.
Play it up the age, Guru.
Who's that on?
Klay. That's on Klay.
That's on Klay.
That's on Klay. So when you talk about Jordan Poole and the shenanigans, Willard, I feel like you're doing him a disservice. Dude balled out, and his career was ruined. I'm going there after he got embarrassed in front of the world on social media with that punch by a teammate that did not result in any disciplinary action.
And that's fair, and I feel that. But to say that ruined his entire career to watch Steph Curry throwing mouthpieces, Draymond walking off the court, Klay commenting on it in Asia before the season even started, to act like Jordan wasn't throwing the financial piece in their face and clearly getting under their skin on some level. I do know that.
But Willard, be bigger than that. If you're icons, if you're Klay, Dre, and Steph at that point. Come on, you're going to let that get to you?
Hey, well, again, what I say earlier, we talked earlier, you're not going to remove the ego from NBA players. You're just not. It's all of them. It's every single one of them.
I think what's an issue moving forward is how the fan base either continues to feel or changes their feeling toward Draymond Green. Because you love Draymond Green? And that's,
you say that about the whole team.
But
you say that about every player.
It feels like the tide is starting to turn there. And if Draymond Green starts to diminish noticeably as a player, then I think the fan base is going to struggle with what's going on. I really do.
You don't think they already have, Steiny?
I do, too, in a little way.
Well, we talked about it earlier about the 4-year deal. So far, 1 year in, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
You know, 1 year in,
man.
It's disaster. He missed a third of the year because he can't control himself. So if the next year continues down that pattern and you're a 10 seed again, I wonder about the long-term interest level of Steph Curry, who will be up for an extension at the end of the year. And I do think that that's a big reason why Draymond got the deal in the first place, because Steph is going to be the guy who vouches for him first and foremost. And so even though Draymond had punched Jordan Poole and stomped Sabonis and done 74 other things, Joe, and I've been as critical of Draymond Green as anyone on the station, and I will continue to do the same thing, I do think the Steph piece in the Draymond contract is a big one.
Well, the Draymond contract's funny because what was the market for Draymond Green? We're just now hearing about the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't know if he had a market out there, but he got his 4 and 100. Now I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
The Steph Curry thing is interesting because the All-Star game's coming to the Bay Area. Yeah. And that national media and the international media are not going to be homers like we contend to be, some of us here at 95.7 The Game, including yours truly. They're going to be asking Steph Curry, if this team gets off to a slow start with this roster, are you thinking about change? And the first little piece we got was today from Malika Andrews when Steph Curry said, clearly, I want to be a Warrior for life. It's always been my goal, and I'm saying that sitting in this chair right now. But like you said, life, and especially life in the NBA, it is a wild environment, and things can change quickly.
Oh, my goodness.
He's down there at Team USA, practicing with AD, hanging out with AD, KD again. He's like, wow, this is great. What's it going to look like when he's playing next to a second-year player in Pods and he's struggling a little bit? Or Kuminga's trying to find his game because he wants to get paid, and you got slow-mo. We could be talking about Steph Curry looking for another place, and they say death happens in threes. Like we lost Bill Walton, Jerry West, and Willie Mays in like a month span. Well, with Warriorland, we all talk about this dynasty dying a slow death. Well, we lost Bob Myers last year. We lost Clay this year. Who's it going to be next offseason? It could be Stephen Curry. That's a reality that I think we're all staring at in the face.
Don't get marketing.
You know what? Let me tell you something. Marketing doesn't stand a chance trying to recruit against who Steph's playing with now. Don't think for a minute all those guys who he's playing with now aren't telling him to jump ship and come join them. It used to be the Warriors would guys wanted to play for the Warriors.
Now they need help.
Well, but what I'm saying
now
is
other teams are going to be up there recruiting.
Other teams,
including the Lakers. LeBron is right there.
You don't think Durant's saying, "Can we get you to Phoenix?" You don't think Embiid's saying, "Can we get you to Philly?"
LeBron to the Lakers. The Lakers are always big name hunting.
Yep.
They could be swinging for Steph Curry next year and strike it out this year. And I can't stand the Lakers. That's such a Laker move.
I read
That's scary, man.
I read this as him telling the ownership group, "We got to do something."
Exactly.
That's the way I interpreted this.
Joe, they tried to get Paul George. They tried to do something.
Telling you out loud, you got to do something here, guys, or else I'm going to have to dip.
Right.
He's never done that. We've never heard him say anything remotely close to this.
And this is not a threat, but this is an idea.
Just to let you know.
Have you ever heard him say this, though?
Never. When Steiny read that, I fell out my chair.
Yeah, how many times we hear a superstar in any sport, NBA,
Things
baseball,
change
football?
quickly.
You know, I want to be here forever, but you know, this world and this environment, it's a business. Things change quickly.
Wow.
That's the first time I ever heard Stephen Curry say that. And it made me stop what I was doing in my car, go, oh boy, I know what we're going to be talking about come December if this team gets off to a slow
That's a
start.
big but.
That's him telling the ownership that
shout out
he
for
needs something done. Right?
Shout out Mix-a-Lot.
Just don't say Becky, that's my mom's name.
It wasn't the only quote. I mean, he also said he has absolutely zero interest in just kind of riding it out.
Right.
Every year is about winning absolutely at all costs. And sure, if he gets to a spot where I can tell, it feels like half the fan base is already there. If you feel like it's a fait accompli that he's not going to win here, then yeah, he probably would start to think about it.
See, to me, they've got two options here. You do the Kobe Bonds thing, where the last couple of years we're chasing record. No, it's you're soaking up all the salary cap, and we're chasing records, and we're going to be kind of whack around you, or you take a little off top, and we do try to bring others in. Because I don't see a way financially. Just look at their books and how you project this forward. How are you going to be able to afford Steph making max money, Markkanen, if you want to bring in someone like that, making $50-60 million, and extend Kuminga? Because if you look at what these other guys, the Wagners and all these guys pay, that's another $40 or $50 million.
Exactly.
It just doesn't pencil. And with this new CBA, if we've learned anything, the two guys you pay better be the right two.
Yeah.
Wow. Otherwise, you're in a really tough financial spot.
They could be, and Steiny and I were talking about this on the golf course yesterday. This could be a year.
How'd you play?
I'm not bad.
I got the number you wanted, Joe. I heard you guys had an awesome time.
There's two questions. How did you play and how fun was it? It was a lot of fun. I stink. So
Steiny shot 85.
Steiny's about But this could be a year where they reset and they get below the second apron, you know?
Well, I mean, let's be realistic. They won 44 games and 46 games.
Yeah.
So if they win 48 games, then Curry's got no gripe because they're climbing the ladder, right?
Essentially,
I mean,
he's progressing. You're right.
Like, I don't know if Steph makes a differentiation between, okay, we won 46 this past year, so we're better than 44 even though we got to the second. Like, I think to Steph, he knows what a championship team looks like, and he knows what one doesn't look like.
Right.
And it's going to come down to what he thinks, period.
We're at Summit 4 in Fremont. Let's hear you. We're sponsored by Safeway, and two things coming up next as we continue Summit 4. All three shows, Steiny, Goo, Bonta, Joe, Willard, and Dibs, all here with you all the way up until 6 o'clock talking Warriors offseason. But coming up next, we got a couple more crowd participation questions to ask, which is number one, would you rather have Clay or Draymond on this team? Don't answer yet. And would you include, you mentioned paying Steph, Markkanen, and Kuminga. What if Kuminga is a part of the deal? Would you give up Kuminga for Markkanen? We'll get to all of that coming up next. It's Summit 4 on 95.7 The Game.
Head to Safeway this week for this amazing digital deal.